G'day YouTubers and welcome to another video. In this video I'm just going to show you how I make burley these days. I did do a video on making burley a good while back and that's the way I've always made burley, but I've changed the way I do it now and it's been working better I think. I've got a bigger mincer with bigger holes in it so I get bigger chunks of meat. What I do now, I just mince up my excess bait and any bycatch I get. Anything that's legal and not edible, or not all that edible, goes into the burley. I mince that all up and freeze it ready for use, but I don't put any chicken pellets with it, I don't put any extra oil with it, I don't put any extra bread with it. And it's been working better, I'm sure of it. So I'll just show you how I'm making it and just explain what's happening. And you might want to give this method a try next time you're wanting some burley. I did a video on setting up the mincer a while back. As you can see, it's bolted to a board and the board is clamped to a table, so I've got a nice solid work area. I've put a drape of plastic from the mincer down towards the bucket, just so nothing spills off on the board, just makes it easier for me to clean up. And then it's just a matter of feeding everything through. Note the size of the holes on the plate. They're 10mm holes, and I think probably going in a little bit bigger wouldn't have hurt. The thing I've got to watch is the way I dispense it now is in onion bags. And I've just got to make sure that the chunks of meat are small enough to get through the onion bag when I give it a bit of a tug. So as I've said, any leftover bait you have, whether it's mullets, squid, pilchards, jackers, whatever, all that goes into the burley. And then any bycatch you get, like grinners, I often get grinners, so they come home and go into the burley. All sorts of things. Anything that's legal and not edible goes into the burley. And with a mincer this size, if you get any dead crabs in your pot, they've had a bit of a fight and one of them's been killed. That happens from time to time. As long as it's a legal size, I bring that home and I just throw it through as well. Prawns, that's another good one, but not shop-bought prawns. Don't risk spreading that white spot disease. Make sure it's baked prawns you're using. Any leftovers there, go through. And by not shop-bought prawns, I also mean not the prawn heads, the shells. Anything you buy for eating at home is not suitable for putting in here or putting back in the waterway in any way, shape or form. Now lots of people got lots of different ways to make their burley. I like the hand mincer. For one thing, with a hand mincer, I can shove my fingers down in there and help push things through and know that I can stop turning before I chop my fingers off. But with an electric mincer, you try doing that, you're going to lose a finger sooner or later. So for that reason, I like the hand mincer. I've had some people tell me they use a garden mulcher and put their stuff through that. I don't know what size that comes out, but as I said, the hand mincer works well for me and gives me the right size, so that's what I'm aiming for. But if you've got a better method, by all means use it. Now that's all there is to making the burley. The next step is how you package it ready for use. And what I do is I get some butcher's paper is really good, but if you can't get butcher's paper, get newspaper, just ordinary newspaper. You don't want glossy paper, you want ordinary newspaper, something that will dissolve in water. So I get some newspaper and I wrap a good handful of the burley up in the newspaper, roll it up, stick it in a plastic bag and stick it straight in the freezer. So that it gets frozen before the juices in the burley have got time to soak into the newspaper very much. My wife's usually good enough to help me with that. I get the handful of burley, roll it up in the paper, she puts the paper in a bag and gets it into the freezer straight away. And I've shown you in the previous video how I use it. What I do is I get an onion bag and I stick it in the onion bag with a rock to just help it stay underwater. The rock's kind of an extra, you don't need the rock. If you haven't got one, don't worry about it. Just throw the burley in the onion bag, tie it to a bit of rope and throw it overboard. And then after, say, 5 minutes or so, the outside surface will have thawed out enough that you can just pull it up and give it a wriggle in your fingers just to start breaking up the paper. And then throw it back down. Every 5 minutes, just give a tug on the rope and that'll release some burley and brings the fish around really good. Better than the last recipe I had, and I've been using that recipe for many years with chicken pellets and the normal sort of burley recipe that most people use with chicken pellets and a bit of fish oil, bread, and of course your bait and what have you. This has been working much better, it's much more consistent, and it seems to bring the fish around better.
Of all the awful things to touch, and you don't want butterpaper,
It's awful. Hey, even Superman doesn't like kryptonite. Anyway, there you go. Don't throw your bait out. Bring it home and find some way to get it cut up. Even if you do it with a knife, cut it into small chunks. Freeze it up. Next time you take it out, throw it out for burley. You will get more bites with it. I've heard a lot of people say that it brings the vermin around. Yes, it does bring some nibblers around. So I've found that just because I got burley out, I don't find that there's any more sharks than there would be normally in that same spot. If I haven't got burley, I go out fishing anyway. Now, experience has told me that the sharks are either there or not there, and the burley doesn't seem to make any difference. As I say, other people might tell you differently, and that might be their experience, but mine is different. It will bring the nibblers around, so have a decent bait and a decent hook. I hope this helps you get some more fish. Thank you for watching it. Until next time, good fishing.